hand, I have a standard deck of cards. Now, if I take this and shuffle it, chances are that no deck of cards in the history of the world has ever been in this order before. Many of you in the audience probably have your inner voices whispering, "What?" followed by a "No way." With all the casinos, friendly card games, and magic tricks, there's no way that no deck of cards has ever been in this order. However, the odds are very much in my favor, and let me share with you why. The amount of ways you can shuffle a deck of cards is 52 factorial. This is determined because in the first spot, there are 52 options of cards that can fill this position. In the second, there are 51 options. In the third, there are 50, and so on. To combine all these choices together, we would multiply them out. In math, this process is represented by factorials. 52 factorial is equal to about 8.0658 times 10 to the 67th, which, written out completely, would equal about that. For most people, this number is way too big to even begin to wrap your mind around, as it was for me. Then, my math teacher showed me a video by Vsauce, explaining to me the immensity of this number. The video, by Michael Mitchell, explained it in terms of events. So get this. If I took 52 factorial seconds and I put it on a timer, I could stand on the equator of the Earth and every billion years take one step. As soon as I get around the Earth's equator, I would take a single drop out of the Pacific Ocean and then begin to walk the Earth again, taking one step every billion years. As soon as the Pacific Ocean is empty, I would place a single piece of paper on the floor. I would repeat this process over and over again until that sack of paper reached the sun. And even then, I would still have more than half the amount of time left on my clock. Imagine all those seconds it takes to do those series of events. There's even more ways to shuffle a deck of cards. When I heard this in class, my eyes widened and my jaw dropped as my brain cells scrambled to understand the information they were just given, as many of yours are right now. It's this feeling in society we like to call having our minds blown. And as much as the literal action of blowing up brains is not the best for us, this moment of having your mind blown is actually insanely important in creating a passion and a will to learn. Because of this, today I want to talk to you about the importance of having each and every one of your minds blown. The first thing that is so captivating about these mind-blowing situations is that everyone has something different that ignites this feeling. For example, in the situation I just gave you, the numbers catch my attention. To me, the immensity of factorials is simply astonishing. To give you another example, I'm sitting in math class a couple weeks ago, as my teacher starts talking about how some infinities are bigger than others. He starts drawing number sequences on the board, explaining how if you match each number with an equal numerical value, the infinities are the same size. Until he got to a number where each number went on for infinity, and there were infinite amount of those numbers, and every time you think that there's not a new number, you can simply create a new different one using parts of the old ones. I know it's confusing. It took me a while to understand exactly what he was trying to say. But for me, this is astonishing. And I can go on, but I know that some of you are like those kids in my math class where as soon as it wasn't going to be on their test, their minds went to what they were doing after school, and their hands went to doodling endless patterns on the edge of their notes. But not me. I am on the edge of my seat, leaning closer to the board as if I thought the closer I got, I would somehow absorb more of the knowledge being poured out to me. But this talk isn't about my interest in mathematical patterns. The intriguing part of this is as I sat there in class, I realized that the thing that was blowing my mind did not necessarily blow the mind of the kids sitting right next to me. Consequently, I wanted to know if it wasn't infinities that blew their minds, what did? So, being the nosy kid that I am, I started asking around. And what I found was quite mind-blowing. I asked everyone the same question. Can you remember a specific thing you learned that you would say blew your mind, therefore sparking a greater interest in what you were learning? Everyone had different answers. I asked my friend Caroline, and her face lit up as she began to talk about some book they had recently studied in IB English. She said that it was amazing to her the way that this book had been translated from Hebrew into English, and how the words, even through translation, had kept their complex double meanings. For me, the way she was talking about it made me excited, but nothing about the complexity of words brought me any joy. Frankly, my interest in English doesn't go much farther than getting an A in the class. However, for her, the knowledge she was gaining through this learning was sparking excitement and enthusiasm. Continuing my search, I asked my friend Harrison the same question. After thinking a little, he began to talk about a concept he had recently studied in AP chemistry. They were learning thermal properties, and he explained to me that it was staggering to him the reasons behind why we feel cold. This idea that cold is not actually cold rushing into our body, but heat leaving our body to warm up the cold object we are touching. Again, I thought this was interesting, but not necessarily mind-blowing. And if it's not words or chemistry, maybe it's one of these examples my friends gave me. The idea that maybe we all see different colors, but we all call them the same. That your color red could be my color blue. The idea that our DNA is 99.9% the same, yet we are all so different. That our Earth is so small in comparison to the sun, but the sun is minuscule in comparison to the galaxy, and our galaxy is only a small portion of our universe. Now, maybe one of those examples I just gave you made you 20 times more excited than any of the numbers I was talking about earlier. You see, that's what's so amazing. Everyone has something different that blows their mind. And when you find yourself having those mind-blowing experiences, it can show you your interests and help you find what really excites you. I have seen this very thing as I've gone constructing my talk. At first, I chose this topic because I personally love the feelings that go along with having your mind blown. However, as I started doing research to see the science that supports this, I began to realize my fascination with the way our brains are structured. All of a sudden, I found myself reading endless medical journals, articles, and websites all night. It's this excitement for a topic that matters. So what really happens in our brain when we get this spark of interest in our topic? Well, our brains consist of special cells called neurons, which are composed of several parts. One of those parts being fibers called dendrites. As we learn new knowledge, the brain fibers grow. They then connect together at contact points called synapses. The larger your brain fibers grow, the more they connect, the more information can be stored. But what does this have to do with getting your mind blown? Well, in our brains, there are certain regions that are in charge of motivation and interest. These regions are activated by a chemical called dopamine. This chemical is released when we are excited, engaged, or experiencing a new adventure, emotions that are often associated with having your mind blown. Thus, when your mind is blown, you're excited and engaged. And when you're excited and engaged, dopamine is released. And when dopamine is released, you activate areas of your brain, causing you to be more motivated and interested in what you are learning, creating that passion and will to learn more. In addition, dopamine is addictive. Therefore, students such as myself can become addicted to the feeling of having their minds blown, and consequently become addicted to learning. Furthermore, in addition to creating a happy sensation, dopamine is a chemical that helps in storing information, thus allowing one to remember more of what he or she has learned when they have experienced excitement during their learning. Hence, having your mind blown is not only beneficial to your learning, it also makes you happy. You know those cartoons where a character has an idea and a light bulb pops up above their head? It's kind of a similar thing going on here. When that little spark happens, a light bulb full of new ideas, enthusiasm, energy, and curiosity can turn on. And from there, with that new light on, there are endless possibilities awaiting. Getting your mind blown is the beginning. It's the beginning of inspiration. It's the beginning of motivation. It's the beginning of opening your eyes to a whole new world of knowledge. Give yourself that opportunity to get excited, to get encouraged, to grow. Put yourself in situations where your mind can be blown over and over again. If it's books that blow your mind, read more books. If it's science that blows your mind, do more experiments. If it's math that blows your mind, Watch more videos. If it's morality that blows your mind, ask more questions. Find whatever gives you that eye-opening, jaw-dropping, mind-scrambling feeling and follow it. I have seen it, science knows it, and now you have learned it. Putting yourselves in those situations will not only make you happy, but will create a passion and a drive to learn more. And once you find that passion, or for those of you who already have that passion, share it. Use those mind-blowing concepts to grab the attention of those around you. Employ the power of the chemicals in our brain to intrigue others in what you are interested in. Imagine a world where everyone is putting themselves in situations to have their mind blown. And consequently, and simultaneously, people are working to blow the minds of others. Not only would you be receiving the gift of knowledge, you would be giving it out as well. Imagine the passion and the power in a world then. That is a world I want to live in, and that is a world we can live in. So I am so sure that there are 52 factorial ways to shuffle a deck of cards, but I am also sure that there are more than 52 factorial ways to have your mind blown. So find what blows your mind and share it. Thank you.